So to go through scribing again, in this case the top pillar above the wardrobes. In this case there is going to be a cornice that sits on the front here, and the infill will sit behind the cornice and be scribed to the ceiling. So the technique is the same if you've got a flush filler at the front which is scribing to the ceiling, or whether you're setting it back. So once again, this is the piece we're cutting the infill from, and you can see it's too big. We provide every piece where it's an infill oversize, because you can never rely on a house. This is a new house I'm in here. This is the third room I'm on in this house, and the other two haven't been level or square, so I don't assume this one is either. So we're going to have to scribe and cut to the shape. Even if the ceiling was straight, we still need to scribe it. So this is a piece cut off the end of this filler in here, exactly the same width. So the principle of what we're going to do is, if we just got to fit this piece in here, it'd be dead easy. We could either just measure it, or we could mark it, and then we'd want to cut this piece away, which is the waist, and that piece would fit in there. But really what we want to do is cut that piece off that side. So we want to mark, in this case we could just swivel that round after we cut it off and then it will go. But we need to do that same thing all the way along. We want to cut the difference off this infill. So the simplest way to do this, I've actually got some little brackets here, just made of a bit of softwood. Nothing special, just so that I can get this top edge of the infill flush. You can see here, this top edge is flush with the top edge of the wardrobe, or the outer edge of the wardrobe. Same would apply if it was down the side or at the bottom. So this is flush with the top of the wardrobe. So these are the little brackets that I've got. I just made these out of some scrap. So using this offcut, so here it is, it's exactly the same width as this piece. So we now take this and we use this to trace the line. The piece we cut off here will be the waist, and the piece we're left with will fit in here. The line we're marking is the difference between this piece and the space we've got at every point. So this is quite difficult. You see here, this ceiling just dips a little bit, probably where the plasterer's just rolled his trowel a little bit. So if I put the pencil on that corner, so I know some of you will be thinking, yes, you should just be using the compasses that's in your hand. The thing with a compass, it's quite difficult if you're not used to doing it, or even if you are used to doing it, it's quite difficult to keep it totally perpendicular to the surface you're working from. And if you roll, I'll come in a bit so we don't do it, if we're trying to trace that line, and if I swing, I'll exaggerate, but if we swing, you can see it's quite possible to get a line that doesn't really follow the line you're after. This way is foolproof, and that piece will be the right size. So this room, just to mention, is too long to have this top infill in one piece. There's got to be a join, so I've chosen to put the join in the centre of the room, and the cornice will have the same join. So, infill piece, bigger than the aperture it's got to go in. Cut off the end, or cut a piece exactly the same size, have a piece of scrap. This edge flush with edge of cabinet. This piece running along the ceiling. This is the waist. This is the piece we want. That leaves us with a flat edge here that sits on the cabinet, and the shaped cut edge that sits against, in this case, the ceiling, but could equally be the wall or the floor.